Welcome in. It is cozy season. We are coming into October next week. I was going to say next year. That's going to be wrong. We are coming into October next week. And do you know what that means? That means winter's coming. Do you know what winter means? Winter means cozy. And I don't know about you, but I get the pull to cozy books. Okay? Cozy books through winter. So I have some recommendations for you. There are quite a few on this list. So we're going to start with the books I don't own. To start with, and one that I finished today, which a friend of mine put me on, and I'm so glad they did, and it's called Carpet DM. I'm saying Carpet DM because of a carpet plays a part in the book. It's the whole plot. It's where the plot rolls around as carpet. And even though it feels fancy saying carpet, but I'm saying Carpet DM, and it's by Justin Lee Anderson. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you will know that I rave about Justin Lee Anderson, mainly because of Lost War and the Bitter Crowns. The Bitter Crowns! But this is not a book about them. This is a book about Carpet DM, and it's giving Good Omens vibes. And if you love Good Omens, but you don't want to read it right now, because of things, you can definitely pick up Carpet DM. It does have angels and demons, but it's definitely different than Good Omens. So it is like similar to Good Omens in that aspect. It has same kind of like the Good Omens did and like the Hobbit did, in a sense, that kind of narrative style of omniscient. And it was lovely and it was whimsical and it had humour. Yes, there was some like deeper topics that was alluded at, but he handled them really, really well with grace, but also without removing the humour, and it's just perfect. So there's this old hermit guy who is in possession of a carpet, and God and the devil made a bet around this carpet. So they're sending their angels and their demons to come and fetch it, but there's rules in place. They have to the guy who owns the carpet has to willingly give it to them. They can't just take it, they can't use their powers. It's like that. But the carpet goes missing and he has to go and track it down, and it is so much fun. It's a short audiobook. I love the audiobook. Please go read it. It was so much fun. I just loved it. Honest to God, it was just so much fun. And when you have a stressful day like I've been having all week, because it's just been one of those weeks that this was just a ball of light at the end of my week, and I just absolutely love it. Now, this next one is technically not a sci-fi fantasy, but I had so much fun reading it, right? Vera Wong's Unsolicited Murder, I think there's a vice, is up here. This, very steeped in Chinese culture, Vera Wong is just a neurotic, in a way, old Chinese woman. And not stereotypical either, but so deep, and I love it. And she's uncovering this stuff, and it's a cozy mystery, and it is just, I had just so much fun because she's just so unhinged. She's just Vera Wong, and she just does what she does. And there's police officers, there's people, there's other that are just like, what are you doing, old woman? But she's like, I'm doing this, setting people up in relationships, learning and uncovering things, and just bringing the family together. And it was just, it was so much fun. We're going to take a break from books that I don't own physically to talk about the Thursday Murder Club. If you've not read this book, what are you doing? This is old people in a retirement home solving cold case murders, and there is nothing more I can say about that because it's so whimsical. It is, well, whimsical might be the wrong word. It is so heartwarming. It is full of British culture. It's full of old people just being old people, found family. There is a character in here that has dementia that it's held so well, and you still feel the love and the care that everybody has for that character, but also the character has for those around him as well, and it's just absolutely perfect. Bogdan, one of my favourite characters. First time I tabbed, right? Loved it. I have been trying forever to get my mum to read this, and she has actually read the first two. She's on book 3, been reading it for fucking ages, hence the reason why I don't have it. She's been reading it for ages, but things have happened, but she's gonna go back to it. She will. I will force her to go back to it. This is just amazing. It's set kind of Kent countryside, which I just love. It's so warm. It's perfect. Cold winter night. You sit down with your blanket, the fire in the background. If you don't have a fire, put it on the telly on YouTube. Trust me, it works. And just immerse yourself in this story. And it's just perfect. And I would read 20 books in this series. I know that it's not physically possible, but if Richard Osman decides to keep putting out these type of books, I would just read them. I just will. They're amazing. Now, the other book, I don't believe this was on audio, but I got an arc of this, and it's so severely underrated because I read it a couple of years ago, and I will just forever, ever keep talking about it. And that is The Untimely Undeath of Imogen Madrigal. It's amazing. It has nuns, it has a gay relationship, it has an eccentric character, a rich character, that is deeper than you think he is actually going to be. There's a murder. It's her murder. She can't remember what the murder is, but you follow the main character of a nun, that the sisterhood is there and just together, and it is just amazing. And you follow them going through this mystery, trying to uncover everything, learn to come together, the found family, the trust that comes through. It is just, I cannot recommend it enough. And it's just perfect and good for this kind of atmosphere, this kind of time of year. It also works as spooky season because there's an undead character. It's just so incredible and heartwarming, and I had so much fun reading it. I just love the sisterhood. I'm totally against religion, but the sisterhood between, like, you know, holding secrets against your sister when you're in a nunhood, but then people learning about them and then still learning to trust even when they feel like they've been betrayed, even when everything else, and then deciding, even though it's so dangerous doing this because the killer is still out there and is still wanting to finish what he started, doesn't want people coming close, doesn't want people to understand why he did what happened, and everything that went through, and still deciding, I'm going to stick with you, I'm going to help you, even though it could endanger my life, is just, I fucking love it. I just fucking love it. Now let's go to my pile of books. I'm going to start with an old favourite of mine. Some people might not say this is cozy. I disagree. Some people when they were young were traumatised by this, especially from the TV show. I was not. Is this where my grimdark heart resides? Possibly, even though it's not a grimdark. I am talking about an old classic, Watership Downs. This book brings me so much joy. This book is everything that you want. It is rabbits, it is found family, it is deep relationships, it is finding somewhere, being lost and finding something, and people struggling and just coming closer together from all of it and standing up for what you want at the end and helping other people and just thriving. And it's amazing, and I cry every time, especially where I hear the song Bright Eyes. Like, oh my god, this has so many good memories for me of me and my mum just sitting and watching Watership Down, crying together. It is just, this will forever hold a special place in my heart, and I will die on the hill it's cozy. There is that one scene in the beginning of the book, especially in the film, that people don't like because it's a river of blood. I never saw it like that. Well, I knew what it was, but I didn't see it as horrifying, because the whole message and the theme around the book and the TV show was just there and just perfection, and I love it. And I have a feeling I am going to probably be rereading this soon because I am in such a cozy mood. I'm not gonna lie, and I probably will be for the rest of the year. This is where my cozy heart comes out. Talking of cozy, I am going to mention the book that started this genre. Legends and Lattes, it is good, right? It's cool. Bookshops and Bonedust tops it. I will die on that hill. So I read Legends and Lattes when I was new to Cosy, right? I knew what it was. It was cool, it was fun, right? But then I didn't rate it very high because I was new to the genre. I think I read it before it got picked up. But I then got an arc of Bookshops and Bonedust. My horse, my mare, Mally, ended up falling lame. Turned out she had arthritis. I didn't know it at the time. And I was a bit like really upset because she was in pain and I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know what was wrong. And it took months to discover it and then medicate it as well. Because that's everything that was going on. I picked up Bookshops and Bonedust. And that was the best decision I ever made. This was just the warm hug that I needed. I loved Satchel. Pot Roast is this little creature right there. And he's the best boy ever. He deserves all the little treats and all the little pets. Animals like that in books, I just absolutely adore. And this is no different. I loved it. I loved learning of Viv's story, like her backstory. My only criticism of this book was the fact that there was a relationship in this. And if you've read Legends and Lattes, you know where Viv ends up. You know who she ends up with. And I think it just took that kind of feeling that tension through the relationship that you would have, because if you've read Legends and Lattes first, you kind of know that they don't end up together, so you're not invested in it at all. And I think if you just kept it platonic, it would be so much better. That was perfect time to actually have an asexual representation, what are words, in there. And I'm not telling Travis Baldree how to write. I still fucking love this book. I still recommend it. I read it 3 times in a year. And when I say this came out September last year, and I got the arc and I read it like 2 weeks before it came out, and then it came out and I read it again, and then Travis Baldree did the audio and I read it again. This book took over my life for the rest of that year and I just lived in it. This is a book that I would pick up, by the way, Travis Baldree narration, fucking amazing. This is a book that I would pick up whenever I'm going through a really, really stressful time, family's ill, something's happening, and I just want to lose myself in comfort. This is a book that I would pick up. I read I Can't Spell Treason Without Tea, the indie version, and then Rebecca Thorne got picked up and she deserved it. She just deserved it. And it's cozy. There's a little bit more plot to it, so if you want a bit more plot to your cozy stories, you pick this up. Yes, it's lesbians, and yes, there's dragons. What more do you want? 2 characters. One character leaves her life in the Queen's employ to set up a bookshop with her other half. And they're doing it while trying to not be discovered by the Queen, but there's also a plot going on with the dragons and trying to discover that while keep everything on top and loving people. There's a they-them not protagonist, there's a they-them character in here. It has all the representation you kind of want. It's amazing, it's incredible. Rebecca Thorne can write. I have the book too, even though they do work as standalones, but set in the same world. On my TBR, I have the indie version of it. I believe the next one, which is A Pirate's Life for Tea, is coming out in a couple of weeks, maybe next month, from a traditional publisher, and I will probably follow a lot of what Rebecca Thorne does because I love her writing, I love her prose, I love her characters. I wasn't completely invested in the relationship in here, but they were already established as a relationship, and I still like how they explored their struggles together of finally kind of moving out and living together, which they haven't really done before, and learning to communicate and stuff like that. I love that. I just wasn't fully invested, but I still recommend the story. I still love it. It's amazing. This edition is just so cool and cozy. I'm on the fence of getting the other edition. I might just fucking do it because why not have a matching set? It's amazing. If you want some sci-fi in your life, this is one I recently read, and I did an audio via the library, and it's narrated by the author, which I was on the fence about, but actually, Adrian Tchaikovsky, you can narrate. And of course, I'm talking about service model. Now, this might not be for everybody because it's mainly robots, right? It's mainly robots. And I know how people can struggle with it, especially the way it's told. But a robot murders his master and doesn't know why. and he gets sent to diagnostics. He's trying to find out what's wrong with him, and he goes all through the place because the system is broken. And I just loved it. I loved his relationship with the Wonk. The Wonk is a fucking cracking name anyway. I love the relationship with the Wonk. I love the family. I love exploring and having the robots start to understand things a bit more about the world, about his place in it, and about that maybe everything shouldn't be as regimented as it is. Maybe you can do things of your own will. It was so much fun. This edition is stunning. I'm glad I bought it. It's not going to be for everybody just because of the way it's told, but I do think you need to give it a chance. And when you're in the right mood, in this downer kind of mood, stick the audiobook on, maybe tandem read it if that's your thing, and just lose yourself in the idea that not everything's ever going to be lost, and even if you don't know your place in the world, somebody will still care for you. I could just not mention Brandon Sanderson. People complain about him all the time. People complain he can't do prose. Tress of the Emerald Sea proves you wrong. He can do prose. And this was just a warm hug. I loved reading this. Of course I got The Secret Project. Let me show you some artwork. It's stunning the way this is put together, and I backed it, and I'm so glad I backed it, even though I might have got a bit broke. I'm still so glad I backed it. I don't recommend doing that, by the way. It's just me. But I backed it, and I love it, and I read it, and it's so much prettier in person. And I love the story. It's everything you want. The Sanderson excels at world building, right? And there are seas of spores that can be kind of dangerous, and you are sailing across them. That's tense enough as it is, but this is a family. This is of a woman called Tress who loves teacups. I get kind of autistic vibes from her, which I just love. Only a little bit, but I just love. And somebody who she cares for, who is Lord's son, is sent away, and she knows something's up. So she decides, who's never left her island before, never left her world, is set in her world, knows how this happens, collects her teacups, and she decides that I'm going to go find my friend Charlie. And the journey she goes on, the people she meets, the problem she's tackling is just brilliant. I agree with Sanderson saying you can start here. People disagree because of Hoyd. I don't think it removes anything from the story not knowing who Hoyd is. You may possibly not quite understanding why we're in Hoyd's POV in a sense, and he's telling the story. Even though it's very much in third person, very much you are like, Tress does this, Tress does that. But there were just a few moments in there sprinkled throughout of Hoyd. And you may be a little bit confused. But I do think this is kind of a good starting point. This is not generally what Sanderson usually writes. But if you want a cozy vibe and you want to see if this is kind of your thing, read this. He wrote this more for his wife, and it's one of my favourite books. I do have a better edition of this book, but it's stuck in its case and I can't be asked to faff with it. So of course I'm talking about The Hobbit. We are going to end on The Hobbit. The Hobbit should have started the cozy genre. It's definitely having that kind of whimsical, good omens vibe tale, right? Yeah, there could be better women. There could be more, any woman in here really. I don't think there is a single woman in this book. But it's a brotherhood. It's Bilbo going on an unlikely adventure that he doesn't want, and Gandalf kind of doing it just to troll him. That is amazing. Everybody should know what you know what The Hobbit is. You know. I recommend the Phil Draglish audiobook. Andy Serkis is amazing. Phil Draglish immerses you in there. Do you know why? Because of the sound effects. You can hear crackling fire. There is the soundtrack that plays in the film appears in here, especially in Lord of the Rings. It's just an immersive experience. I highly recommend it. The Hobbit is just, incredible. I love it. And it brought me Lord of the Rings, which is one of my top books ever. So those are my cozy books. And let me know what yours are down below. And happy reading.